to Merriam's online academy. As a teacher and an adjudicator, I have heard Für Elise more than any other piece of music. In this tutorial, I've put together some helpful tips if you are preparing for an exam, or performance, or a music festival, or if you're playing Für Elise for your own enjoyment. Feel free to purchase a copy of the music by following the link in the description below, and also be sure to check out my full performance video of Für Elise. So let's start with the A section. I have a couple of notes here of things that I think are important. Number one, we want the A section to be smooth and flowing. It's a very beautiful section and it's very fluid with the broken chords, so let me just demonstrate quickly. Notice how my left hand flows into my right hand, like this. So you want to be careful that your thumb isn't too heavy and that you don't get this sound, because that can break up the line. So be very, very conscious of the left hand flowing directly into the right hand. And that's how you'll get that smooth and flowing sound. One thing that I've heard mentioned quite a bit is to play to the bottom of the keys even when you are playing pianissimo. So let's take a quick look at the score for that. The very beginning of the song is marked double piano, and it is challenging to get that double piano sound. Oftentimes when we try to get a double piano, we play so lightly, like this, but it doesn't give the piano enough tone. And if you were sitting way back in a performance hall, you wouldn't be able to hear it very clearly. So even at that double piano marking, make sure you hit right at the bottom of the key. It can still sound double piano, but with a little bit more tone. Right on the bottom. My next tip for you is to add phrasing. So what is phrasing? To bring shape to each line. So let's take a look at how that would look in this section. I'm going to mark some basic dynamics, and we'll try out that section with them to see if we can give it a little bit more life. One thing I like in the opening is if we can, let's just get rid of that double piano for a second, add a little bit of a crescendo diminuendo, like this and like this. So we'll try that opening again. You'll notice I go a little bit into the, and then softer, crescendo, softer, same. When you have repetitive lines, it's really important that it doesn't get stale or sound too monotone, like that. So the phrasing, a little bit of crescendo diminuendo can add that in. The other thing that I wanted to mention is I think it sounds really nice if in this section you can go a little bit stronger. So I drew a mezzo piano in here, a little fuller, and notice right there I did a really nice diminuendo. And then when you come in here, you can take your time for a minute. Again, the little bit of crescendo, diminuendo, crescendo. So those are my tips for the A section of the piece, and I should probably have marked that here, A. So now we're going to jump into the B section. I'll mark it right here. Here's A. And let's take a look at the B section. Here I wrote a dance-like character. So this part is not as smooth and flowing. There's a very clear right-hand melody line, and the left hand has a broken accompaniment. So the things that I'd like to mention here is we want to play the right hand clearly and legato, and in the left hand, you want to keep it really, really soft. So let's address those three things in the B section. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to flip the page here. Usually people do a little bit of a rit here. So here's one of the legato fingerings that's important. On this rolled chord, you're going to land on finger 4, but then you're going to swap to your thumb. And that way you can keep this legato without jumping off, like this. Now notice my left hand to play it soft, I keep really, really close to the key, like this. And then my right hand, clear sound, like this. So let's jump to the next page. So now we have this little bit of a grace note here. And sometimes it can break the line if you go like this. It's going to be pretty fast. To play the grace note correctly, actually play both notes together and jump off the B flat right away. So it'll sound like this. Now notice again, I did another one of those finger swaps. So you want to make sure that we keep the line. So once again, you're going to switch from finger 4 to 1 in order to keep the right hand really legato. Now we get into the 30-second notes. Important here to keep these really, really light. And if you want to get into the really nitty-gritty on the 30-second notes, be sure to check out the tutorial that I've done specifically on this section. But here you want to keep it light. So you can add a little bit of crescendo and diminuendo in this section, right here and right here. So build that up and bring it back down. That'll add a really, really nice phrasing. One other tiny tip I have for the end of this section, as I've seen as a common issue, is when you're coming out of the 30 seconds, right here, and then you switch to 16ths, it's basically the timing is cut in half. So make sure you don't retard here or slow it down. Beethoven built in the writ by cutting the timing in half. And then we're back to that A section again. All right, so here's the A section following that, which we're not going to go through because it's pretty similar to exactly what we had at the beginning. The one thing that I would suggest in there, because you have the A section a few times, is if you wanted to play with a little bit fuller sound on the second A section, that would be entirely appropriate, just so that they're not identical each time that you play them. So let's take a look at my last section and take a look at what's happening here. So the C section, we've got suspense and drama. So this part is completely different from the rest of the song. One of the tricks in there is that your left hand is going to have a repeated note. So I'm going to deal with that, talk about that, because you want to play it as quiet as possible. And I'll show you one of my tricks for doing that. And we're going to add a lot of drama to the right hand by using lots of dynamics. Really exciting in there. And when you get to the arpeggio section, we're going to keep that really light and really smooth. So let's take a look at the C section now. So that begins right here with these left hand repeated notes right there. So in jumping into these repeated notes, one of my tricks for teaching this is you want to make sure that your left hand stays touching the key. Don't let it come off. You see how loud that is? And we want to focus on the right hand dynamics instead. So keep that touching the key at all times. Plus, when you have the pedal on, it can easily get too loud if you come off the key. So here's this part. Now, I'm going to write in a couple of dynamics. We're going to start nice and soft here and very suspenseful, very creepy. Then as we go through and the chords build up, we're going to have a little bit of crescendo and diminuendo. Next, we're going to start more like a mezzo piano, and we're going to really build up all the way till here. We're going to have a nice big forte here on this B-flat major harmony. It sounds really great if you can really bring that up. And then we're going to bring it back down again towards the end. So starting piano, left hand close to the key. Keep your sound up. Diminuendo. Start again, but bigger. Forte. Soft. Now, unfortunately, my arpeggio section is not all on one page, but that part starts right here, And we've got that double piano marking again. So we want to keep that really light and really soft. So I'm just going to flip to the next page so that you can see the full arpeggios. One trick here is the fingering. It's super, super important. I'm going to write it on this page that you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 5. Like that. And then play super light, even in the left hand. If your chords get too heavy, this part gets too loud. Right? So keep the chords light and the arpeggio. And then coming down the chromatic scale. And then we're back to the A section again. So here's the final A section right here. So my final tip for you is feel free, again, on your final A section to maybe take a slight bit of liberty, maybe with the tempo to kind of wind it down. That's one of the things that I do. And if you watch my full performance video, you'll see this. In the last section, I actually slow down to give it a really nice ending. And I think for the listener too, it's nice for it to start to wind down so they get a sense that the piece is coming to a close. Thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out other videos on our channel, as well as my full performance video of Für Elise.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching Merriam's Online Academy. Check back here for more videos and don't forget to subscribe below.